let me finally just ask you some questions about late night, which is where most people saw you for the first time and saw you for several years as the right-hand man to Conan O'Brien. What exactly made you decide that enough was enough there?
Oh, there wasn't any one thing. I had always known at some point that I was going to have to leave. I did not want to be Ed McMahon, and there isn't anything against. I in absolutely no way mean that as an insult to Ed McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
But I set out to be a comedic actor, not a broadcaster. I didn't want to be a broadcast personality. I wasn't really that interested as a profession in being Andy Richter. I wanted to be, wear wigs and mustaches and talk with funny accents and do pratfalls. So I always knew from the beginning that because this was slightly off, that show is Conan's dream come true. And for me, it was just a great, not just, but it was a great job and a wonderful experience, and probably will always be the best thing that ever happened to me career-wise. Mm-hmm. But it was always kind of going to be a side trip at some point, because I had started out trying to be a comedic actor, a character actor in comedies. I was already on that path when the Conan show happened, so I just had sort of a sense that it would be wonderful to work on that and get the experience and get the notoriety, and then at some point get off before people thought of me as nothing but a sidekick, or that I would never be anything but a sidekick. That it would become, I felt that there would be a point at which it would be impossible for people to think of me as anything but that. And it was already difficult. When I was did Andy Richter Controls the Universe, we had our first table read, which is, the first actually public performance
Mm-hmm.
of the script. And one of the really higher ups at Paramount came up to me afterwards and said, "Wow, you can really act." And I just felt like, well, what were you paying me for? But then I had to remember, well, this is a town full of singers who can't sing and writers who can't write. So I guess it's not that far-fetched to hire an actor who can't act.
But I guess it was a determination you would have hoped they would have made before they gave you the series.
Precisely. I mean, if I couldn't have acted, it would have been all the more lucky for me that they didn't make the decision beforehand. But I think it took people, there are a number of people who are like, isn't he that sidekick guy, as if that was all that I could do. So I felt like I was going to have to, like I knew that there would be a point when I'd have to hop off the train.
And then finally, now that Conan is in line to get the actual Tonight Show, you could have, had you stayed, actually been Ed McMahon, not just a postmodern Ed McMahon.
Yep.
You've already said that, that didn't interest you because of the other things that you wanted to do in terms of writing and performing. But further in your career, or is this something that you and Conan have ever talked about, or that you have thought about perhaps, given that it is the Tonight Show, going back, even if for a while?
No. No.
Well, that sort of ends any further speculation on that point.
I mean, Jonathan Groff and I have joked that the Tonight Show with Conan O'Brien is our retirement plan. Mm-hmm. It's our safety net. Should we fall through every other showbiz crack, we'll land there. Even if it's just, writing the jokes about a middle-aged Britney Spears.
It's not a shabby plan B,
No, it's not bad at all.